Hi guys, welcome to Titan Athletics. I'm Prit Pachu. This is part 2 of a 3-part series I'm doing on Kento Momota and why I think he's good. The series covers footwork, stroke, and strategy. I've already done a video on footwork. This video looks at Kento Momota's stroke. Kento was born on September 1st, 1994. He's Japanese. He's 5'9". He weighs 150 pounds. He's a lefty and his coach is Yusuke Nakanishi. This short video clip is of Kento Momota versus Chu Chen Chen at the 2015 Danish Open. Alright, let's start off with Kento's racket position during the serve return. So you can see here that Kento's balancing his racket on his non-racket finger, and his racket hand is nice and loose with the thumb up, getting ready for a backhand. And his racket head is really close to his head, getting ready for a possible flick serve. Again, from this view, you can see he's balancing his racket on his non-racket hand so that he can keep his racket hand loose. His elbow is loosely cocked, and he's likely controlling his breathing and his heart rate. This is very important because he's trying to focus on the next rally. Again, his racket head is close to his head, getting ready for a potential flick serve. So this is just a slightly different posture compared to someone like Peter Gade, who has everything the same except for keeping his racket head a little bit lower. It just means that it's a different style. It's no better or no worse. Okay, let's take a look at the underhand. So the first thing to establish is stability. Take a look at Kento's lunging knee, how it's less than 90 degrees. So this is excellent for stability and recovery because his knee is well behind his racket foot. This is an excellent position to be able to get into. So you have to be able to flex from the hip and use the glutes. This is to relieve the pressure off the knee, but you can see Kento's knee is still heavily wrapped. Then his non-racket foot is holding the center of the court and his feet are really wide. So you have to be able to develop flexibility in the hip, the groin, and the hamstring to be able to get into this stable position. Also focus on building strength in the glutes, the hamstrings, the quadriceps, and the back, especially the lower back. All right, now I want to bring your attention to Kento's upper body structure. So take a look at this non-racket arm, how it's stretched out for balance and for reach. But I want you to pay very close attention to this non-racket hand, how it's just hanging there. His fingers are nice and open. So this is very characteristic of Kento's relaxed style. So this is going to be very important for the rest of the video. I'm going to talk about this in a little bit more detail. So I'm going to use the example of a wrecking ball to describe what I call the empty hand technique. So with a wrecking ball, you can see that the action comes from the top and the movement is manifested at the bottom where the wrecking ball is. So as with all things, gravity pulls the wrecking ball downwards. So it's the very small action at the top of the wrecking ball chain or the rope or the cord, whatever is holding the wrecking ball, and the weight of the wrecking ball and the momentum which makes this such a devastating system. So in principle, that's how you generate momentum in the racket head. But in reality, when looking at it from a biomechanical perspective, the arm actually moves like a weapon called the triple staff, which is like a set of nunchucks, except rather than 2 segments, the triple staff has 3 segments. So let's take a look at how the triple staff is similar to the arm. So there's the upper segment, followed by hinge number 1, which is the elbow, and then the mid segment, followed by hinge number 2, which is the wrist, and then the lower segment, which is made up of the hand and the racket. So it's called the hand and racket complex. And then if you just imagine that the end of the racket is heavily weighted. So if you take a look at the wrist, there should be no muscle tension here. It should be absolutely relaxed, exactly like a hinge. So the main function of a hinge is to act as a pivot point. So the hand and racket complex should be thrown towards the shuttle, exactly like a wrecking ball functions, like this. So let's take a look at Kento's overhead. Right there. We'll slow that down. All right, so as his racket comes up, he's relaxed in the shoulder and the arm, the wrist acts as a hinge, and the whole arm falls down with gravity. So empty hand technique starts with the non-racket hand being nice and relaxed so that the racket hand can be relaxed. And then the whole arm and chest and shoulder area also needs to be relaxed. And then of course, the hand that's holding the racket needs to be loose and relaxed so you can feel the weight of the racket. Again, from this position, you can see his non-racket hand is really relaxed, and that helps him to maintain his relaxed style. So let's take a look at the racket position between shots. Again, we're going to use the example of the wrecking ball being pulled down by gravity. So you can see after this shot, his racket is hanging low. The weight is in the racket head. His arm is loose and relaxed. He's able to approach the shuttle from down low, so gives him lots of options. Again, his racket is low. And he himself is getting down low. He can defend this smash very easily. And then take a look at his non-racket hand, how it's just flopping behind him. Again, it's symmetry. So both arms hanging loosely by his side. 2 wrecking balls this way. His whole body is relaxed. Heavy racket. And again, down low. And then here he's pulling off his signature move, which is the reverse backhand cross-court net shot. So treating his racket like a wrecking ball. All right, let's move on to the prep for the overhead. So again, his racket is low as he moves behind the shuttle. His wrist is hanging. His elbow starting to recoil. And then his wrist hinges exactly like a hinge, and then his elbow is cocked and he's absolutely relaxed in the upper body. His racket head drops down. And then his elbow leads, pointing towards the shuttle. And here you'll see his contact is just below the highest point. That's because it's an around the head shot. It's the angle he's trying to produce. And then his wrist has major flexion going on. It's hooked exactly like a hinge. And then in the follow through, his elbow stays flexed. Again, it's the nature of this particular shot. And his wrist is floppy, again, like the hinge. Look at how his racket head is low as he moves from the backcourt to the front court. It just makes running forward a lot easier. His racket head is dragging after the shot, and his non-racket arm is also hanging. Again, similar to a wrecking ball. Keeping the racket head low between shots makes movement a lot easier, but it also holds the shuttle a little bit longer, so it gives you more option and more deception. So Kento is 5'9", but take a look at how low his non-racket knee is getting to the ground. It just shows you how low he gets when he's playing underhand shots near the net. Really important to get down low. So again, his racket is low as he moves. So as he moves back, he sticks his racket out. He's ready to play his overhead. His elbow pulls back. His racket is down. His elbow is cocked. His wrist is relaxed. He starts to draw his racket back. He relaxes his hand around the grip. Takes a big step to position, plants on the racket foot. Elbow is tucked in nicely in the hip. He drags his non-racket foot, jumps off his racket foot, chest is stretched out, opposite arm mirroring and relaxed. Focuses on the shuttle, arm rotates, elbow points towards the shuttle. His arm is at full extension, swinging his arm like a ball and chain. And that's because he's doing jump out footwork and his target is deeper into the opponent's court. Okay, I just want you to watch something. When Kento goes back to play his overhead, he does a little pump action with his racket. Right there. We'll slow it down. Up and down. Okay, one more time. His racket goes up and then down. This is a sensory action, so he pumps the racket head. So this is in order to relax his hand so he can feel the weight of the racket. This gauges how much tension and muscle he needs to use on his next shot. So it's the same as oscillating your hand when you're trying to gauge the weight of an object. So you allow the weight to do most of the work, just like a wrecking ball. So that's it. If you like this video and you want to learn more, please subscribe to my channel. And don't forget to hit the bell so that you get a notification every time I release a new video. And to give my channel a boost, please give me a thumbs up and I welcome any comments that you might have. Thanks for watching.